So it's been a long time since I've done a channel update, and I just wanted to let everybody know that I got sick of that Leaf stuff, and I decided to get myself a Hummer. I'm just kidding. Actually, the reason that I'm doing this video today is because I just pulled into the Best Buy parking lot, and my Leaf literally just crossed into exactly 50,000 miles. So after 50,000 miles, you can see that maybe the Leaf is a little bit dirty, but it's anything but dead. I absolutely love this Leaf, and it gets me back and forth to work every day and anywhere else I really need to go as my commuter car, and I have zero problems with it. Now, the reason that I wanted to do a 50,000 mile update, and the reason that it was so important to me, is because of someone leaving me a YouTube comment that was just ever so near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to read it for you. They said, "Let's face it, once a Leaf reaches 50,000 miles, it's at the end of its life and nobody wants it anymore. I can't say the same for my old Corolla, which could possibly get up to 400,000 miles with proper maintenance." Now, I will admit that the Leaf may not get 400,000 miles, but it's absolutely not a piece of useless garbage right now, so you can suck my butt. And I'm going to show you exactly how I still use this thing every day and how much range it gets. So the reason that I haven't really done much of a post lately is because everything's been fine with the car, and I haven't really felt the need to update, and I've learned a few things that I am going to share with everybody, but any kind of an update really would have been kind of boring. So since the car just hit 50,000 miles, I'm going to walk you through what my day was like driving yesterday and actually into today, from a full charge down to about 25-ish%. So that's what this video is about, and thank you everybody for watching, and everybody who subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. Enjoy. So before we get into the state of my car's health and how it functions today, I think it's important to throw it back a little bit to the one thing that I did actually manage to record this year, because it was a significant moment. I did start to lose some of my battery health, and the Leaf shows you that in a little gauge that's beside your normal battery gauge. And the thing that was more important, I think, to document at that moment was the circumstances and that of what was going on when I lost that battery health bar. So I just want to throw it back to the beginning of this year in January when I lost that first one, just so everybody can see exactly what was going on and what caused it, and maybe what people should avoid. So check it out. Well, it just happened, and a little heart just dropped. Currently have 41,513 miles on my Leaf. I am fast charging as I speak, and I just lost a battery health bar in my Leaf. So that's a little bit of a punch in the face. I would say that I'm not too worried about it in general. The car still gets really good range. This year, actually, I just changed locations where I work, so my commutes are going to be a lot shorter than they used to be, so that's going to help out. But yeah, I was wondering at what point it was going to happen, and I feel like from what I've heard that around around the 40,000 mile mark is definitely whenever you can kind of start to see a Gen 1 Leaf start to lose a little battery health, and I think that that's what we're looking at today. It's been a little bit over a year since I had the car. I've put a lot of miles on it. I've abused the heck out of this thing, and it's like I said, a lot of that abuse is going to calm down some, but I still have faith that I'll have this car for a while. Alright, so that was exactly when I lost my first battery health bar, and it definitely was due to having to rapid charge too many times during cold weather and putting the battery under a lot of stress. Now, initially it was something that scared me, and whenever it happened, I was like, I never want to rapid charge this car ever again, and I actually haven't since then, and I haven't had the need to. But I think it's important to realize that just because the car's computer has basically said, oh my god, I've been put under stress and blah 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 as far as the battery goes, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have a huge impact on your day-to-day life and your day-to-day range. So we're going to throw it now over to how the car functions for me today and exactly what kind of range I get. And it just started raining, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. I started my day off a little bit before 7 a.m. Everything was pretty much normal. The temperatures were average, in the 60s, good weather, good everything. I had a decent amount of driving to do, so I charged up to almost 100% with the car reading that I would have 88 miles. By the time I had gotten to work, I had gone almost 13 miles, used 12% of my battery, and 10 miles of estimated range. My whole day was kind of up in the air, but I only ended up having to go to one other job location that day, which took me down the highway into the city. I was moving along with traffic through speed limits of 55 or 65 miles per hour until I got into the city and hit a little bit of stop and go. Traveling from my first location to my second location, I drove 18 miles, used 26% of my battery, and 21 miles of estimated range. The car definitely has a higher energy consumption rate on the highway. Once I was done with work that day at that location, the last leg of my commute was 8 miles to home. Over the 8 miles, I used 8 miles of estimated range and mixed driving and 6% of the battery. That night, I drove to the QT Amazon locker, and I also went and got dinner. I didn't charge overnight, and I drove to Lowe's the next morning, where I enjoyed some early October Christmas trees and then went back home. In total, I had gone to 2 work locations, home, QT, Wendy's, back home, to Lowe's the next day, and then back home again. During that time, I drove a total of 62 miles. I used 63 miles of estimated range and 73% of my battery. That following night, I only charged my car up for a little bit to about 69% and ended up at Best Buy the next day at exactly 50,000 miles. That's the beauty of electric cars. They are great. With the convenience of home charging, your charging habits only have to reflect your driving habits. The most important thing is to buy a car that fits your lifestyle. As you can see from this video, my Nissan Leaf meets all of my daily driving needs and then some. It's not always about what your car does on a full charge from 100 to 0, but it is about how you use it. So as you can see, apart from a little bit of battery degradation, the Nissan Leaf has held up perfectly fine. I think as a used Nissan Leaf buyer, we know what we're getting into, this is what we signed up for, and the car still meets my needs every day. I use it for almost everything, but mostly travel back and forth to work and hauling stuff, and I'm planning on keeping it maybe until the end of its life for it to be my run into Lowe's workhorse as much as I possibly can. I'm going to put a link in the description below to the Transport Evolved Nissan Leaf update. Nikki Gordon Bloomfield currently has a little over 87,000 miles on their Nissan Leaf, and it's holding up just fine as well, so I have high expectations for this. So as you can see behind me, we currently have my Nissan Leaf and the other car in our family, the 2016 Mazda 6, and I'm hoping that that will change for the better and that we'll have a little bit of updates. The other thing that I wanted to address was something that I mentioned in one of my very early videos, was that I do have a deposit on something else, and that actually happens to be the Arcimoto FUV. I am a little bit far down the list, but I'm hoping within the next year and a half that I will actually have one of those in my garage as well. So stay tuned for more updates, and thank you always for watching my channel. I really appreciate it.